My boyfriend's meltdown over my friend's age turns into a breakup after his sexist comments and refusal to own up original post. I've been dating my boyfriend Mike fake name for about 4 months, and everything has been great up until now. This post is going to make Mike sound kind of crazy, but up till now he's been the nicest, most laid-back guy I've ever dated. About a week ago, I was on a Zoom call with 2 of my friends, who we will call Annie and Sarah. Sarah is 27, Annie is 36. I was talking to Annie and Sarah, and Mike leaned over my shoulder to say hello because of the pandemic. He hasn't met either of them in person yet, and it was his first time actually meeting Annie at all. I wanted him to get to know my friends a bit, so I invited him to sit next to me and stick around. Sarah was talking about her dating woes and how the pandemic has made it harder to date than ever. Mike made this weird joke about how Sarah needs to find a guy quickly, because at 30 she's going to hit the wall and no man will want her anymore. He said it in this joking voice. But both Annie and Sarah looked weirded out, to be honest. Mike's never said anything like that before. I guess Mike picked up on the awkwardness because he started trying to explain himself and started saying all this stuff about how women age like milk. And it's not the same for guys and men who tend to date younger because after 30 they hold all the cards and can pick and choose. Annie said I haven't had any trouble meeting men, and Mike said just wait until you hit 30 and lose your looks. It's all downhill from there. Annie just kind of laughed, and I had to tell Mike that she's 36 and obviously hasn't lost her looks. If he's mistaking her for a 20-some. I said it kind of jokingly. But Mike just went silent and then walked off into my bedroom and slammed the door that night, and ever since then he's been very moody and short with me and keeps making passive-aggressive comments about how I'm always against him and never have his back. We've never even had an argument before this, so I don't know where that's coming from. I've tried to bring up the Annie thing several times, and he either clams up and refuses to talk about it or turns it back to me. Annie and Sarah ganging up on him and bullying him, which I don't think any of us did the rest of the time. He's just very short with me and keeps picking fights over tiny stupid things like my tone of voice being wrong. What do I do here? I really want to talk about what happened and about his views on women and men and aging because that's kind of concerning. I don't understand why my sweet, cool boyfriend has suddenly transformed into this weirdo because he got politely corrected once. How should I solve this? TLDR boyfriend started talking about how my friend would be washed up when she hits 30. I told him she's 36 and he's been in a bad mood ever since. What should I do? Relevant comment Sillshot 123 WTF sounds like your BF is a shallow pause. I mean, he was seriously looking for you to back him up that older women always fall apart. If that's what he really thinks, then your relationship is over in 2 years anyways. Smack up upside the head, tell him to grow up, and y'all can move on from this. The dumbest non-issue I've ever heard in my life. Your boyfriend is being and he sounds like the type of person that is loaded up with double standards. Oh, that went through my mind too, and is part of why I want to talk to him about this, because if he really thinks women are washed up after 30, then what does that mean for our relationship? Spoom. He sounds like a sexist dumbass and that he's upset he got proven wrong. OP. What's weird is he's never shown any hint of being sexist before. If you'd asked me before all this, I would have told you he was a very modern and progressive guy, and it's not like we've never discussed things where he could have shown these kinds of views. Before we discussed stuff like abortion and women's reproductive rights early on, and he was all about a woman's right to choose. For example, this just seems like it came from nowhere. Tasty units, how is this loser even attractive to you? I hope you talked to Annie and apologized for his behavior. If I were Annie, I would be incredibly disappointed in you. I stayed on the Zoom call with Annie after he stormed off, so we already talked about it. And I basically said the truth, which is that he's never ever said anything like that before. And I wouldn't date him if he had. Annie seemed to find him saying all that stuff, then getting her age wrong, incredibly funny actually. But yeah, I did apologize for what Mike said to both her and Sarah. Deleted once I heard the phrase, when people show you who they really are, believe them. It changed my life. Listen to who he is. Showing you he is op-edit to give credit. It's Aya, Angelo quote. Thanks to everyone that told me, oop, I think I'm going to take your advice. It makes me sad because he really seemed so great up until now. But I guess this is a lesson to me, that you can't always trust the first impression you get of someone. I texted him that I want to talk. So I guess either he can respond and we can have an actual adult breakup in person, or he can keep ignoring me and get dumped by text tomorrow. Update. First of all, I want to say thank you. I didn't expect my post to get such a big reaction, but seeing everyone basically unanimously tell me Mike was bad news was the wake-up call I needed. As a matter of fact, it was actually Sarah who told me to make the post she didn't like Mike at all after that Zoom call. And I had been kind of pushing back when she suggested I end the relationship. She didn't sound surprised at all when I told her Reddit unanimously said he was bad news. I think she was probably thinking I told you. So I also called my dad after the Reddit post, and something he said basically cemented my decision to end it with Mike. He and my mom are the same age and have been happily married for 30 years. He said, if you stay with this man, then on your 30th birthday, you're going to be worrying. He'll never find you beautiful again instead of celebrating the milestone. Don't waste your time with someone like that. Every time your mom has her birthday, I feel happy that she's choosing to spend another year growing older with me. And basically, that's what I want. And obviously, I wasn't going to have that with Mike anyway. Long story short, I did break up with Mike. I texted him asking to meet up and talk, and when he asked what about, I told him we needed to discuss the Zoom call and how he'd been acting this week. I got more of the same stuff about how I'm a bully and ganging up on him, and he wants an apology from Emmy. And even though I had wanted to do the breakup in person, I realized he was going to keep trying to turn it around into being my fault. So I just told him over text that I didn't want to see him anymore. He sent back whatever, grow up, and hasn't contacted me since. So that's that. Not a very interesting update, I know. But even though a big explosive argument might have been a more interesting update, I'm kind of glad to have avoided it. TLDR, I broke up with Mike. Relevant comments. Theora, 45,545. Good thing done now for her to reconcile with her friend and tell her dad what great support they both are. Opie, Sarah's not mad at me. Fortunately, we actually had a call just before I made this update, but I can tell she was holding back the urge to say she told me so. And to be fair, she did tell me so. Pookie582. I'm sorry it had to happen, but I am relieved this is the outcome. I hope you find someone a million times better. Also, I love your dad. He sounds like a great husband and a great father. My dad's amazing, and he and my mom are still so crazy about each other. They've always been marriage goals for me. Now to the next story. 2, my wife wants a divorce because I live an entirely different reality with my first love and my dreams. Original post, I am 31, have been with my wife F28 for 3 years. We had a short engagement, married quickly, and had a perfectly ordinary existence. I love her. She loves me. We do taxes, housework, watch movies, all the normal things, no physical cheating on either side as far as I know. But here's the thing. I am a lucid dreamer, which means I can to an extent control my dreams, which is something I find cool as it allows me to go on adventures while asleep. It also makes scary dreams not so bad because I can just wake myself out of them. Over the last year or so, I've been having a recurring dream about my ex. My first love, F29. Truth be told, I never got over her. We were together for 5 years. From 15-17 to 2022. We broke up after I graduated from college because she didn't want to move from New York to South Carolina with me, which is where the biggest industry for my field is. I was crushed but moved on, and we've spoken sporadically over the years. Although we never crossed any lines, I will admit that I've kept up with her own social media a bit, but nothing stalkerish. Well, a year ago, she announced she was getting married, and I experienced a resurgence of feelings for her, although I never acted on them or told her. That same night, I dreamed about her for the first time in years. In the dream, she showed up at my door and asked me if I wanted to get coffee. I said yes, of course. The dream, which was not a lucid dream, ended there. It felt so real. I couldn't shake the feeling once I woke up. It felt like we were actually reconnecting. Since then, I've dreamed about her several times a week, and I've practiced becoming lucid. So I've been able to control the outcome more times than not. We've lived a whole life together over the past year. Everything from dates to a trip to Paris together, which we visited while in college. We even re-walk the same paths we did in real life. It got to the point I was looking forward to going to sleep to be with her. Fast forward to today, my wife told me she felt distant from me, and I started to feel guilty because I thought what I was doing was harmless. But she's obviously noticed a change in me, so I confessed about all of it. At first she said that I was joking, but when she realized I was serious, she accused me of cheating on her and told her mom and sisters, who are calling me a cheating weirdo. She even threatened to tell my ex so she'll know what a loser I am now. I get that it's not anything a woman would want to hear, but it's not like I physically cheated. I don't want to lose my wife, but I don't think she can forgive me for this. Till Doctor, I live an entirely separate life with my ex in my dreams, and now my wife wants to divorce me, but I really love her and don't want to lose her. Do we have a chance? Relevant comments. Soul Angelic? Yeah. No, I think this might be a lost cause. I would certainly consider this cheating, and I think that it does indeed warrant a divorce. You clearly don't really love her, at least not as much as you love your ex. Oh Hop, I do love my wife, which is why I married her. I just also have feelings for which I should have been honest about before we got married. I didn't mean for this to happen, but once it did, I wasn't able to stop it living that life with my ex while sleeping. Felt like getting to experience what I missed out on in young adulthood. With that said, my wife left overnight for a hotel, and I don't know if she's coming back. I feel awful for hurting her a lot. I'm asking this genuinely, not trying to be snarky at all. What did you think your wife's reaction was going to be? Did you expect what happened? Or did you think she would be more accepting up? I knew she would be upset, but I felt I owed her an explanation once she communicated that. Du felt distant. I didn't want to gaslight her perception. I just hadn't known that she even noticed a difference in me. I just didn't think she would leave. She's turned off her location. I have no idea where she is, or if she's all right and her family won't speak to me now. I do love her and would like for our marriage not to end, but that seems inevitable now. As I processed this update 2 days ago, I posted about the fallout that occurred after I 31 admitted to my wife 28 that I've been lucid dreaming about my ex and first love 29 over the past year after a major blow-up where my wife called me every name in the book and got her family involved. Which I understand completely, so please don't take this wrong. My wife left. I didn't know her whereabouts for over 24 hours early this morning, about 3 a.m. She came home and told me she wanted to file for divorce. She didn't want to have to compete with a phantom and deserve better than a like me. But she doesn't want to move out or start the process because it's a pandemic, and she doesn't want to live on one income. We make roughly the same amount of money, me $9,000 a year after taxes and her $85,000. I tried to apologize to her for all the hurt I caused by making her feel like she wasn't enough to assure her that I do love her, even though I still love my ex, and explained to her that I've never physically cheated or had any inappropriate conversation with my ex. But she won't budge. She doesn't want me anymore. I can't blame her. I was selfish, and I shouldn't have carried on what I now accept to be a one-sided emotional affair. So I agreed to stay together for financial purposes for 2 years, or until the pandemic is over, whichever comes first. But she kicked me out of our bedroom and basically claimed the second floor for herself. There's so much tension in the house right now, so I left as soon as the sun came up and went to a coffee shop to do some work. While there, I received a message on Instagram from my ex, that my ex-wife sent her a long message from her own account telling her about everything that I told her. I froze because I hadn't spoken to her in a long time, but she saw that I had read the message and followed up an hour later, telling me she needed to know the truth, so again I confessed, expecting to be berated and called a loser again because I had nothing else to lose. But she didn't think that my dreams about her were weird or creepy. She thought it was sweet that I still loved her, especially with her knowing that I'd never tried to have inappropriate conversations or force my way into her life. I'm aware that her not condemning my actions doesn't make them right or take away from the hurt I caused my wife, but knowing she didn't think negatively of me made me feel better. We messaged back and forth for a couple of hours talking about our relationship and how it ended and the choices we made. In that I learned that she and her fiancé called off their engagement a few months ago. I also told her my wife was going to divorce me because of the revelation. She expressed her condolences, and that was the end of the conversation. I'm home now, and I can't help but wonder if this is the universe's way of putting my ex, and I back on the path to reconciliation. Hate me if you want, but I made a mistake, and I hurt my wife, and my marriage is over now or going to be. But knowing that the person I ruin, my marriage over, doesn't think I'm the scum of the earth is worth its weight in gold. I don't know what will happen now, but I can't imagine a friendship with my ex won't blossom from this. At the very least, I know this won't make my wife happy since she contacted my ex to further shame me, but I may just not tell her we are after all divorcing. I hope the next few months and years can result in healing for both my wife and myself. and that we'll both live happy, fulfilled lives till I live an entirely separate life with my ex in my dreams, and now my wife wants to divorce me. Now my ex and I have reconnected, relevant comments deleted. I hope you don't take it out on her when you realize that your old flame isn't the person she was in your dreams, because that was you. You were in love with another version of you. She'll be someone else entirely. Oh, but I'm also a different person, and I wasn't in love with myself. The love for her influenced the dreams deleted when I say she'll be someone else entirely. I don't mean that your ex will have changed since you last knew her. I mean that your ex in actual real life will be someone other than the person you spent so much time with in your dreams. That person in your dreams was not your ex in any meaningful way. She was an amalgamation of your memories of her patched together, using new material you created out of whole cloth to please yourself. She won't ever be able to live up to the fantasy you constructed because the fantasy woman was you. The things she did and said were things you invented. Just like every character an author writes is a version of themselves. You've invested countless hours and serious emotion into a character you created, who is really only loosely based on your ex, since a real woman can't read your mind like a dream character can, and because a real woman doesn't exist only to make you happy. She will not in real life be the same person from your dreams that may be disappointing to you when you realize it. So try not to take it out on the girl op fair. But I'm not expecting her to be. The dream could never compare to the warmth and love she radiates in real life. It was a coping mechanism. Real life will be better. I Love Sharks 101 on You sound absolutely obsessed with this woman, and to be honest, it's quite disturbing. I imagine much of who she is has changed over the years. What if she's not the person you remembered? She will never compare to the fantasy. And honestly, your obsession over her perfection is rather frightening. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay up with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.